About that, we mean that Laka is local, hence the reason why we are here as the lounge to get to promote our very own talent. That segment is what we call the lounge talent, and of course we've given it out to you, the viewers, out to the public. If you think that you have talent and you would love to expose it on live TV, this is your segment where you get to get a video of yourself doing the particular talent that you think you have. Get to video yourself, and of course remember, the video should not be more than 1 minute, so you video yourself and then get to send it through the numbers that are on the screen there, or better still, you can go on Facebook, like our page, which is the lounge, and then get to inbox us, or like our mother page, which is Prime Television Zambia. So right about now, we've been talked about too much. There's been a whole lot that has been talked about pertaining to Zamcops, and people saying that it's a toothless organization, as it has never been there to protect or to talk about copyrights as far as music is concerned, because other people have been complaining, yeah, even in Bella my lyrics, I went to Zamcops, then Zamcops didn't do anything. They come back to the media and do a whole lot of complaining and everything. But this time around, we decided to bring them on the show so that at least we can give a chance to you, our lovely viewers, at least to get to have a chance to talk to them and hear for yourself what Zamcops is all about. And of course, this particular morning we are discussing intellectual property and copyrights. So we are talking about that. At least you get to understand what intellectual properties are and what copyright is all about. So in the studio I have a board member of Zamcops, and of course the GM, or the general manager, or is it managing director?
General manager.
General manager. Awesome. All right, so welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Lance, and good morning, viewers.
It's good to be here. Thank you very much.
Awesome to have you people here. I know last time I was busy saying we invited you, and you never replied, but it's good that you are here. That is behind us. Yeah, so I'll concentrate much more on you, the GM, because people would love
to... The name is Mrs. Juliana Lungu Chilombo.
Mrs. Juliana
Lungu Chilombo.
Oh,
yes. Wow.
Okay, I think I'll just say Mrs. Chilombo.
Mrs. Chilombo.
Okay, I will start with you. People would love to understand this term of intellectual property, what it is all about, and also understand copyright. Perhaps you can take us through in that vein.
Okay, so intellectual property is a term that is used to broadly describe two branches of rights. And these are industrial property rights and copyright.
Okay.
So for purposes of our discussion, we're going to
go on the
be more on the copyright side. So what does copyright entail? What does it mean? I've heard a lot of definitions of copyright. Some say it's piracy.
Okay.
But copyright is a term, it's a legal term that is used to describe the bundle of rights that are accorded to creators of music when they just create the original works.
Okay.
So there are a lot of different rights that are enshrined in copyright, and the two major rights that are in copyright are the moral rights and the economic rights. Okay. So all the rights that we can talk about are in these two broad rights.
Okay. So
the economic rights is these are rights that are accorded to creators of works, that's musical or literary works, that when their works are used by the general public, a remuneration is supposed to be paid against that use. They're supposed to economically gain from the usage of their works by other people. And then the moral rights also is branched into two. That's the paternity right. That's the right of an author of a musical work, in this case, because we're talking about music, to be identified as the creator of that work. So they have the right to be identified. Wherever the music is being used, they have the right to be identified that this song was originally authored or composed by Mwembe, for example.
Okay.
And secondly, they have the right to object to any derogative use of their works. For example, if Mwembe created a song and you wanted to adapt it or maybe redo it, he has the right to object to the way you do it.
Okay.
Maybe you might put insult or explicit content. He has the right to object to that. So this is in a nutshell what copyright is.
Okay.
So it means that when one creates music, they are the only ones who have the right to authorize or to prohibit any other person from using that music. Yes. So in a nutshell, that is what copyright is. These are a bundle of rights that are accorded to creators of works. Okay.
Before you go any further, does it mean that Zamcops only looks at the rights of musicians and not book writers? Is it only for musicians?
Okay, so Zamcops is an acronym for Zambian Music Copyright Protection Society. So already it tells you that we are only into music. Yes. Okay. It was formed by the composers, authors, arrangers, and publishers of music, and it was given the mandate of licensing and collecting copyright royalties from all entities that communicate music to the public. Remember, Lance, I said a creator of music has the right to authorize or prohibit. Now, in authorizing, when you authorize, it's not free authorization.
Okay.
There's a fee that is supposed to be paid against the communication of that music to the public.
Okay.
Now, ideally, an artist is the one who's supposed to give these authorization to radio stations, TV stations, restaurants, anywhere where music is being communicated to in public. Okay. But you know that it's practically impossible for an artist to go around Lusaka, to go around Zambia, and to go around the world giving these authorizations. So in the early 1900s, the concept of collective management organization, developed. Okay. Where an artist, a creator of music, gave this mandate of authorization and prohibition of usage of their works to a collective management organization. Collective meaning a lot of artists coming together to give mandate to one entity to license on their behalf. Okay. So this is the primary mandate of Zamcops. It has been given the mandate by the creators of works to license every entity that uses music, that communicates music to the public.
Okay, so what happens in a case that this particular artist has got a music manager, and then since you said the author of the lyrics or the owner of that particular content that has been created has the decision whether to give the rights to the other person to communicate this music to the other people. What if it so happens that this artist has got a music manager, and then instead of giving you, Zamcops, the right, this particular artist gives it to the music manager? Does that infringe Zamcops in any way?
I don't know whether a manager can manage to license every part of the country and every part of the world. Now, there are so many managers around, and the agreements that are there are very different from copyright. Okay. What they are given, I think, is for distribution or arrangement of shows and the like. But when it comes to copyright, because Zamcops is a body that is mandated by the Copyright and Performance Rights Act. Okay. There is a provision of formation of a collective management organization, and this is where we draw our mandate from as well. Okay. So the music manager, those are different rights that are entered into by artists. I know that it's the distribution and arrangement of shows. Okay. So Zamcops was formed in 1994 in line with the Copyright and Performance Rights Act number 44 of 1994, which has an amendment of 25 of 2010. Okay. It's actually in the process of being repealed so that it's responsive to the technological advancement that we've undergone from 1994. And it has a membership base of over 8,000 local artists and millions of foreign artists. So one may ask, foreign artists, how?
Yes, how?
Yeah.
When it's Zamcops.
So Zamcops has entered into reciprocal agreements with a lot of copyright societies across the world.
Okay.
And that entails that we administer copyright on behalf of the foreign artist in the Zambian territory.
Okay.
Copyright is territorial. So there's no copyright society that can collect copyright royalties in Zambia.
In Zambia.
No.
Okay.
So this is where the reciprocal agreements comes in. So we administer copyright on behalf of, for example, South African artists here.
Okay.
And SAMRO is a collective management organization in South Africa. Administers copyright on behalf of the Zambian artists in South Africa. And these other copyright societies across the world do the same.
Okay.
So we represent both local and foreign artists here in Zambia.
Okay, awesome. Of course, one would be interested, you are the people that are mandated to do copyrights and licensing, and of course you are the people also that are mandated to collect royalties from the different organizations or companies that make public these artists' work or musicians' work. How does one come to Zamcops and then become a member or get his CD or his music copyrighted to you?
Okay, so before I answer your question, the viewers might be interested to know that we are supervised by PACRA,
okay,
of the Ministry of Commerce and Trade and Industry. And we also belong to an international body called the Confederation of International Societies of Authors and Composers. So what this organization does is it makes sure that every collective management organization's processes are standardized.
Okay.
So meaning the processes that we do here in Zambia are not any different from ASCAP in America, are not any different from COSOMA in Malawi, or UPRS in Uganda, or SAMRO in South Africa. Maybe the only difference could be the technological infrastructure, but the processes that we undertake are the same. Yes. Coming to your question, registration is very simple. Of course, for one to be eligible to be a member, you have to have created something, the work, music. And maybe let me tell you, Lens, and the viewers, that copyright only applies to work of the mind, creation of the mind.
Okay.
This is where the intellectual property comes from. Intellectual comes from the word intellect. So it has to be something that you've created from your mind. That is when copyright subsists. So you can, and you have to, in our Copyright Act, it says you have to fix the work for it to enjoy copyright. You cannot say, for example, that I was thinking about this idea and then somebody stole it, I have copyright to it. No.
Okay.
You have to remove it from the intellect and put it to a tangible format. And then you protect it. So coming to the registration part, it's very simple. Our registration process starts when you publish music. You're required to submit a copy of the music that you have, and after about 3 days we have a panel that listens to this music.
Okay.
Just to make sure that it is original, not to ascertain whether it is bad or good. No.
Okay.
It's just to ascertain whether it is original or not. If it is not original, we will advise how to go about getting authorization from the original composers, or if you are not able to get authorization from the original composers and authors, you simply just compose your own. Then after that, you'll be required to fill in membership application forms, and you pay a reasonable fee of 350 kwacha if you are first time. Okay. If you're already a member and you have other works that you want to update your files to, you pay 250 kwacha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, but do you think that these up-and-coming artists would be able to produce such an amount? And also, do you think that they can install trust in Zamcops to say, if I make this investment, then I am going to reap something out of this?
Can I just, let me help out on that one. I think music, art, as we know, is priceless.
Yes.
So when you're creating something, it is priceless. So when you're paying that amount, it's actually very minimal. You're safeguarding your works now, today, and in the future forever. Your children also to come and benefit from the works that you've actually sweated for. So somebody may come up say, no, maybe the amounts that have been put there at Zamcops are too much. But we're saying, as a musician as well myself, protect your works, because music, art is priceless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and just in addition, I think artists must understand that music is a business. And for you to start any type of business, you must have some form of capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's business. This they must understand. And the amount that we charge is really not exorbitant. It's
just a small
something that the artists themselves came up with that they can afford, because we have AGMs every year. And we will suggest an amount that would want to tag as membership, and they will say no. As artists, we suggest that we pay this an amount. So it's not an amount that is from us as secretariat. It is the artists themselves, because yes.
Okay.
So we as the secretariat, we think it is affordable.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let me come to you, and to begin with, let me say congratulations for being voted into the board of Zamcops.
Thank you very much.
All right. So you've been a member of Zamcops, you've been a board member, let me say a new one. I know you've been affiliated with Zamcops, but now you becoming a part of it, being there to look at what the secretariat is doing or how they are running the affairs of these musicians. What goals have you people in the board set in making sure that that notion which has been there to say Zamcops, it's people that are at the secretariat and not the musicians themselves?
I think the first thing is, as a new board, we realized that not so much sensitization was being done as far as Zamcops is concerned. And a lot of musicians out there, a lot of upcoming as well, did not know the mandate of Zamcops. So we sat down as a board together with Secretariat and said we're going to go on a massive campaign, such as what we're doing right now. Thank you to Prime TV, Lance. We want to reach out to each and every person out there. That is one goal that we've set on, and we're doing that actually. The other one is on the collection of royalty as well. I think when a member comes, a musician comes and pays membership, they, at the end of the day, they want to see something that going to them.
Yes.
So we have put up measures, to make sure that the Secretariat pushes and interacts much more, with our stakeholders, our partners who are there, be it Prime Television, be it any radio station, any TV station out there. So there will be a lot of interaction that is coming, towards that, so that at the end of the day, we're able to collect those monies. Collect the monies and pay them to the rightfully owners, and those are the musicians. I must say this, I think it's a two-way thing. We're partners. The media houses out there, the radio, the bars, the lodges, the hotels, and everybody, the boutiques, that are busy playing Zambian music in their, in their shops. Because when you play Zambian music there, any kind of music, let me say, foreign music, you're actually attracting certain people to come, and your business thrives much better, because you cannot run a nightclub, without music. If the music is switched off, definitely you won't have any business. So our appeal is to make sure that we interact with these people, and our appeal is to the owners of these places, the ones owning the places, to have that foresight of saying, these are our partners. And it's a two-way thing. So we need to fulfill and pay the little monies that are owed to Zamcops. When you pay the monies owed to Zamcops, Zamcops pays the musicians. The musicians eventually go out there back in their studios. They go to produce more nice videos, you know. At the end of the day, they are growing their business, and also our partners and stakeholders are also growing their business. So those are some of the goals that we have set, and definitely we are going to achieve them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you, as a board, have you also, let's say, how active are you in getting to respond to some issues or some sensitive issues that come through, especially on the issue of royalties? I know you've explained of you've engaged these partners you are talking, but how quick are you to respond to this? Let's say, for example, I come to you as an artist, I say, okay, my music is being played somewhere, but how come I'm not getting my royalties? How quick are you to respond to such complaints?
Okay, maybe I think I can take that that one. So musicians out there and the general public must be aware how these royalties are accrued and how they are collected. So it is only when one's music is communicated to the public that they can enjoy copyright royalties, not by virtue of them being registered.
Okay.
Only when their music is being communicated to the public by the paying entities. Now, yes, we've had a lot of complaints that artists hear the music playing but they don't get royalties. Now, it could be true or not, because sometimes, especially for the radio stations, there is a channel of submission of music. Every radio or TV station has libraries, musical libraries. And so, as he's saying, we are partners, and so we get to talk on how they can be giving us information that we base on when distributing. Because distribution is based on two things: the money that we collect from the entities that communicate music to the public, and the information. The information as to which music was played on what particular day, for the particular period that that entity might have paid for. So if, for example, an artist maybe met a DJ at some place and they gave their music to this DJ who does not take that music to the library, it is possible that they could play the music and not maybe indicate that this music was played. And when we get that information, that particular artist's name won't be there. Now, us as Secretariat, we do not add or subtract any names from the information that we get. So this I think we found is a major problem that we have found, that artists do not receive royalties. It is because they do not submit their music in an acceptable manner. Yeah.
But can I just add up? You know, musicians are coming up each and every day. You know, and that's a very positive, you know, direction that we're heading in. But we must know one thing as well. In as much as we go in the studio, we record our product. I think the first thing that should click your mind as an artist, as a musician, before you take it out, is protecting it. But nowadays, what we're seeing, you know, you find the music is already out there, okay, maybe given to a radio station, it's playing full time, you know, and then by the time somebody's coming to register, probably it has already reduced the playing time. You know, therefore, in the end, if you register, definitely you will not get as much money, or probably some don't even come through to come and register, but you're actually killing yourself, you know. So the most important thing is that before we take our music out, the radio stations, the TV stations, even the videos, let's make sure that it's done and registered, so that you get your money at the end of the day. We get people that will come and ask for money, you know, when at the end of the day, they would have even paid for their music to be played on a radio station, you know, when you yourself is supposed to be the other way around, vice versa. You know, a radio station, when it plays your music, is actually attracting a huge audience. You know, the coverage grows. A lot of listenership, a lot of people get to listen, you know, to that radio station. So when you take your music, it should be that music will be played, not for you to go and start paying for it.
Okay.
You know, at the end of the day, yeah.
Okay, I'll still come back to the issue of royalties, because I think this has attracted more talk than than people coming through to register for a copyright. I think some few months ago we received a complaint. I know you've said there's a channel that is used, probably these media houses bringing to you log sheets of who has been logged in and how many times that particular artist has been paid. But there are artists that will come through and claim to say they are registered with you, and then probably they've accrued royalties up to, let's say, 5,000, when maybe in the actual sense, it's they just perceive because they just hear the music, but it wasn't logged in. How do they come up with such figures? And then you as Zamcops, do you have a specific figure? Like if I come to register my music, do I sign somewhere to say, okay, at the end of the month you are going to receive a 500? Is there anything like that?
No, so how it works is, for example, if Prime TV pays the 5,000 as copyright royalties for the whole year, we're going to get program returns, log sheets as you put them, which contains information as to which music was played for that particular period.
Okay.
Now, we have this special software, database that we use to document musicians' works and their details.
Okay.
So this is the system that is used to analyze the data that we would have collected from this station. So we're going to enter every entry until the last day of that particular period that the station might have paid for. And then the 5,000 is going to be divided into the total number of airplays that Prime could have had.
Okay.
To come up with what we call a unit fee.
Okay.
So this unit fee is different every year. You cannot determine that the unit fee is this much.
Okay.
Because of the difference in the airplays. Obviously, a station will not have the same airplay every year.
Every year, yeah.
So the unit fee every year is different, and this is why it is not possible to tell a unit fee until you analyze the data. So after that, the artist then will be able to know how much they've accrued according to the airplay that are found on that particular, on those particular log sheets. So it is not possible even for us to tell them that this year you're going to get 5,000 or 3,000. No, because of that, mathematical calculations.
Okay, then how do these artists come up with such ideas to say, in this particular year I accrued 5,000?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, we are there to give information. So if they have got some other theory, they could come to us and inform us or educate us on their theory, so that if it's a theory that is workable, we go with it. But this is what is happening now.
But is Zamcops open to these artists to come through and either complain or maybe come and give ideas? How open are you? Or maybe you are just enclosed, whatever decision you make, Mapanga artists cannot contribute?
This is why we have annual general meetings. That is the platform for musicians to voice out what this is their organization. We are workers. So when they say Zamcops, really, I get surprised at who they refer to, because I'm the worker.
The owners are the musicians.
The owners are the musicians. I can get fired or I can resign. I'm not Zamcops.
Okay.
So they should know that they are Zamcops. And so when we call for an annual general meeting, what we are saying is, come so that you give us your ideas of how we can operate your organization.
Okay, but people do complain that they never attend these AGMs because you don't call them when they are registered with you. What method or what criteria do you use to call these particular artists that are a part of Zamcops?
So every registered member is eligible to attend our annual general meeting. We use different media to inform our members of an AGM. For example, direct SMSs, the media,
our
Facebook page, and even word of mouth.
Okay.
As long as you are a member and you hear from anybody that there will be an annual general meeting, you are eligible to attend.
Okay.
Yes.
So coming back to you, Mwembe, the board, how do you put the secretariat to task to make sure that every complaint that comes through it's attended to or it's treated as an emergency?
Well, you know, as a board, we're actually in the musical circles as more like music politicians. We are the people that have been put in place as musicians to oversee the affairs, you know, of secretariat, and to make sure that things are moving accordingly. I must say it is not an easy task, but it's a task that you take up in as far as leadership is concerned. Being a musician as well, I think I'm bound to relate to some of the questions that you're asking. You know, they fall down on me as well as, but how come that one did not get the royalty? Okay, so we have actually interacted a lot more often with Secretariat, who are more in touch each and every time to foresee and make sure that the mandate that has been given to us is fulfilled, because we want to deliver. Okay, when we got the next AGM, it's about telling the musicians, our fellow musicians, what we have been able to do and what we are doing. It should be a direction that, you know, sinks down into their minds and heads to say, okay, these guys are working for us, and definitely they've achieved this, and what they are doing right now shall be achievable. We want to see a situation whereby every stakeholder out there begins and starts to pay, you know, to pay Zamcops.
Yes.
We have foot soldiers that move around. The GM will be able to talk about that as well, that normally knock on these doors. Okay, the GM will discuss more about it. So that's the line in which we are dealing with as a board. Yeah.
Well, awesome. I know we would love to talk about a whole lot of issues, people asking many questions, but due to time, I'm going to ask you, this is going to be my last question. Talking about plagiarism, we know, okay, I know my colleague PMC always tells me, no, don't use the word stealing, but that's just a fact. Plagiarism is somebody stealing one's idea and use it to make it look as if it is yours when it's not. So, speaking about plagiarism, it has been practiced in Zambia so many times, both plagiarizing a fellow local artist's work and also the international artist's work. You, as Zamcops, since you are the people that are mandated with the copyrights, how do you deal with such situations? One comes to you, okay, this particular person stole my idea, used it, and then how do you mediate between the two? How do you deal with such cases?
Okay, so of course we play a role of the mediator in case of plagiarism. However, I think the general public must know that sometimes an artist might get authorization from the original composer. They've got documentation in the background, and then they record the song. What will Lens think? Lens will think, this person has stolen the, you know, this another person's song, not knowing that they have documents to prove that they've gotten authorization from the original composer. However, if it is found that they do not have documentation, we do play a mediator role, and we call both parties to just make sure that the issue is sorted out amicably. There are a lot of actually instances that that we've had to mediate, cases that do not even go public because we handle them at Zamcops, and the issue finishes there and there at the Secretariat. Now, coming to the question of artists, you know, not maybe accessing Zamcops. Zamcops is an office. It's a public office. It's a musician's office. So really, I do not understand why a person who has a question should not just come to us and ask, or a person who has an idea must not just come to the office and tell us their idea, than going to maybe the musicians groups or social media which does not have an answer. So I would like to urge the upcoming musicians and even the old timers, if there is any information that they would want to access from Zamcops, Zamcops runs an open door policy.
Okay.
Everybody is welcome to access any information. If it is information that we don't have, that is found abroad, we will be able to get it for you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So is your presence everywhere in the country, or maybe you are just Lusaka based?
So the offices, we have 2 offices. We have an office here in Lusaka and one in Kitwe. Now the licensing, we do license countrywide.
Okay.
We've got what we call camp licensing activities. So as Zamcops, we've got licensing officers who go around, licensing or sensitizing people. Even if it's so, some people would say, I do not know about it. So we've got licensing officers that go around to just sensitize and license these people who communicate music to the public. So just in case you run, a bar, a restaurant, or any other entity that where you communicate music to the public, be on the lookout for our licensing officers that will come, and please receive them and obtain a copyright license through them.
I know.
In the case that they are not able to see these licensing officers, they can still contact us.
Okay.
Yes, we are found on 3rd floor, Anchor House. That's Cairo Road, Zambia State Insurance Building next to ShopRite, Cairo Road. Or they can contact us on 229270 or interact with us on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the page name?
It's Zamcops. Zamcops, yeah.
Wow,
So
I hope it's cyber secure, because we've seen many artists, other people creating pages for them, and people get swindled of money thinking, no, this is Mwembe Muntu, and actually they are chatting with another person. So I hope your account is cyber secure.
It is, and at our Facebook page, there's no monetary transaction that happened there.
Okay.
If you want to get licensed, or if you want to register, contact the office, who will be able to advise the safe way of transacting.
Okay.
So Zamcops is a link between the creators of music and the users
of music. Okay.
For easy access of obtaining copyright license, and on the artist part, for easy access of copyrighting their music.
Okay, this brings me, before I come back to you, this brings me now, I know I said it's my last question, but this is now my last for you.
last,
yes. I know you're saying people get to, if we are broadcasting or communicating music to the people, we're supposed to pay. Let's say I am communicating music through my shop to people, I am supposed to pay. Now, what of this instance where I run a blog, an online blog, let's say professorlance.com, it's a website where people can download music. Am I also communicating music to the other people, or I'm just making available music to the other people and I'm not supposed to pay?
Okay. So the law that we are repealing now will cater for the making available to the public.
Okay.
Yeah? So they'll be communicating to the public and making available to the public.
Okay.
So in our case, yes, we are still supposed to pay.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so bloggers are supposed to pay.
They are supposed to.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention, I know GM there about plagiarism. I want to say, for me, if you steal my work, I'll take you to court. So it's not a good thing at all.
Yeah.
When you're an artist, you create. You know, what makes a legend is about being creative. Create your own. Do not go and steal, you know. Any other person, or steal maybe Red Linso's, or steal, you know, Ebo Chungu's music, you know, and they expect to get away with it. I think it's time that we realize that when you do that, you definitely be taken to court and you shall be liable to pay that artist.
Well, all right. Thank you, GM, for coming through.
Thank you so much for having us.
We'll be inviting you
much.
again because we also have to talk about the media and these other entities, these other partners of yours, how they can be able to pay and probably how you engage them, and also continue talking about the running of artist affairs because I know there are a whole lot of questions that have been asked out there.
Thank you so much for having us, and we hope that upcoming and artists, already made artists, have learned one or two things from our program.
Okay. All right. So we've been talking to the general manager of Zamcops and also one of the board members, just trying to break down the intellectual property and copyrights, at least also getting to know the role of Zamcops. So Rabba, now what we're going to do, let's check out the studio session of J Cash together with Your Maps as they were cooking something brand new. It's something awesome and something that you have to look up to. And then when we come back, PMC gets to interact with Green Gifte right here on the show.